I actually started this years ago, but I didn't get it done because I got really frustrated with the soldering, and I finally got a different soldering iron, and it was a whole lot better. I etched this word in here, that is honor, and that is light in Aurebesh. I think I'm saying that right, but it's a Star Wars basic font. And I also etched in the symbol of the Jedi Order. And I just saw, I think earlier this week, the custom saber shop has now, they're selling shrouds, and this happens to be on one of them. Anyways, this is one of my favorite parts of this saber, is how this etching turned out. And this isn't a shroud, it's you know, a part of the saber itself that I etched it on. But let me just show you. I've got also, I put the recharge port in the Covertec clip to turn it. There we are. It's in line with the saber, yeah. But anyways, that's the kill key. I saw someone else had done a twist version, and it worked really well with this because I wanted it flush, so that you could still put it in the Covertec clip and wear it on your belt, and not worry about losing your kill key and having to take it out. Anyways, it works really good. I put two switches on it here. This one's, they're both anti-vandal switches. This one's illuminated, and this one's not. A Nano Biscotte version 1 in it. I bought it in 2013. That's when I started, well, I actually started working on it before then. It's got a Luxeon Rebel Star blue in it, and let's turn it on. It's got a nice resonance from this this chamber here. It's quite loud now. When I first did it, I had a different crystal set up in there, and it really obstructed the sound, so you couldn't hear. It wasn't as loud as I wanted it to be. That's a 2-watt bass speaker in there, and I really like it. It's really loud now. I'll take this apart and show you what that looks like and how I redid that. I really am pleased. I did a lot of weathering on it. This is actually welding marks I did on there, and I don't know if you can tell, but you'll see a lot of scratches that actually were deliberate, and I've made it look like it's kind of almost greasy in there, and just to make it look like it's been used. My concept for this was, I'll turn that off so you can hear me. My concept was that this was a Jedi Knight's saber, and I thought that, you know, the words of honor and light would be something that would be meaningful to a Jedi Knight, and one that he might put on his saber that he made for himself, and of course the symbol of the Jedi Order would also be on there. And but back to, there's two switches, both of them just turn it on and off. If I had a different soundboard in there, this would be the auxiliary switch, but the Nano Biscotte version 1 doesn't have like flash on clash or anything like that. If I were to redo the board, then you know, that would give me some more effects with that. I'd make that an auxiliary switch, but I'm not planning on doing that because I'm just really happy with how it turned out. but I really like the crystal chamber. It's really simple. You can see inside it's kind of a yellowish orange. I'd actually taken this off and I had anodized this piece, trying for a brass or a copper look, and I tried anodization, my first attempt at that, and it did anodize. I got it to work, but it wasn't brassy or coppery. So then I painted the outside with some Rust-Oleum copper, and I like that a lot better. This is a bearing that I put on here. It's actually held in place with the anti-vandal switch, and I painted that. I had to take that apart to paint it, and that was a pain to get back together without a press or anything, but we got it back together, and it's really, I like it. It's really it's fun just to spin it. Reminds me of the fidget spinners. I did this, like I said, years ago. I'd done pretty much most of the body. The only thing that I did within the last few months to finish it up was I did the wiring with the new, the better soldering iron, and I also did the etching this year. And so, but like as far as the body, I had that all done in 2013, and I'd dremeled this out of the grenade to give me the crystal chamber, and I had the whole concept. This is a leather wrap for a tennis racket. I purchased that. I put that on this year, but I had my whole plan pretty much in place way back then, but I just got so frustrated with the soldering that I quit. I actually had originally I tried a Hasbro board, economy board, and I ruined it with the soldering iron because it just didn't work. It got too hot because I had to hold it there for so long to try and heat it up enough that it ruined it, and then traces were coming off. It was a pain, and but it was a lot easier now with a better soldering iron. So let me show you how this comes apart, I guess, and we'll see what you think. So the first thing I do is I take out the anti-vandal switch, and that's it. There's no wires attached to it. I have some wires wrapped around there. I'll show you as we take it apart here. You'll see more what's happening. Here's my thing there. Okay, so you can just spin this off. It is just a little tricky now because I mounted the locking nut actually in the grenade now, and so it has to turn on end. It can't just, it almost slides past, but not quite. And anyways, it's not too bad, but you can see now you can see there's the nut that the vandal switch screws into. Anti-vandal switch, I guess. So it just spins in there like that, and you can see that those end up parallel with the piece, and they ride on these wires here that I've wrapped around here. There's two, and then when you push the switch it just makes the connection. And I redid this whole crystal setup just so that I could take this apart easier, and that's what I came up with. This is the wires going up, of course. Disconnect that and pull everything out, but I'm not going to. I think you can see enough from this point to see kind of how it works. I made the chassis with speaker mounts, the speakers in there, and I cut one so that I could stick this back on the face of it and have this mounted to the front. And anyways, I really like the way it turned out. You can't actually see it hardly when it's put together, but it's kind of cool. And this is exposed. I could have covered that up, but it looks okay. And I made my own battery holder here. You can see that's just a piece of copper connecting. These two are they're connected in parallel, so I just have 3.7 volts. But that gives, the two batteries gives me more run time, and works really good for the Nano Biscotte. But that's how it goes together. I did put the pogo pins here on the end, and I put I made my own setup here. That's just a piece of acrylic that I cut out and manufactured, and so this pin hits the center, and the two outside, these two are going to hit the outside pieces of copper you can see there, and when you push the switch it makes the connection and turns it on and off. And if I were to do it again, I'd probably just buy that. I know the Custom Saber Shop has those, and it would save me a lot of headache. But we'll put it back together now that you can kind of see how it went. There's just a little bit more of a peek of the wiring. I don't want to take it all apart. Just that's the hardest part of getting it together is that right there. And I can take it apart now, but I don't want to. Okay, so first we'll put this back on. The crystal is I was looking for a stone. Originally, when I first put it together, I had an acrylic crystal that worked, and it looked great actually. But the way I was holding it, that worked fine too. It's just when I took it apart, I was still playing with the sound fonts and stuff, and hadn't decided on that quite yet. And after I took it apart 2 or 3 times, the wires going to the switch broke, and the wires going to this switch broke, and so I fixed them. And then the next time, anyways, after I took it apart, I think a couple more times, they broke again, and so then I went and I redid it, and that's when I did the pogo pins and that setup back there, so that'll spin off, and I did this setup so it can rotate in the grenade. And so far it's worked really well. I can take it apart if I need to. I don't plan on taking it apart because I'm pretty happy with where it's at now. And I'm going to check this. I've got a little notch where this lines up to keep it right, and that feels like it's in there. And this goes that way. Oh, there we go. Just gotta get it down to where it needs to be. Okay. And then you can see the copper in there. I kind of like that. Goes along with my brassy copper theme here. And this is just going to screw in and hit those traces or those wires that I wrapped around there. That was tricky to get that done, but I'm pleased with how it turned out. I don't know if that'll focus in there. Kind of get washed out. You can't see the details. I put another brass spring around inside there. Maybe if I cover that up, you can see it a little bit more. Looks really bright on camera. But I actually put hot glue inside in front of this to kind of cut down so it doesn't blind you if you look at it now. Really like, the way that turned out. This was from, what was it from? I think it was from a PC fan that quit working, so I tore it apart. And that's working out good. Anyways, I'm really happy with Honor Light here, and I just wanted to show the etching here because now everybody can have it. Now that Custom Saber Shop is selling it. And I'm happy for that. I guess initially I thought, oh no, now everybody's going to have my saber. But it's great. I guess I'm really happy. So if you get their shroud, then you can do something similar, or you could do your own